Hi guys, Brett here from Hearns Hobbies, and today we're taking another look at the mighty X-Maxx. Now this time we're going to reassemble it. So in the other episodes you've seen me check the spur and pinion, rebuild the cush drive mechanism, take the rear gearbox assembly out of the truck, rebuild the center differential. Now it's about re-racing the transmission and putting it back in. So join me as we get the X-Maxx back together. Okay, so where we left off last time, we have the center diff here, all freshly rebuilt, re-oiled and ready to go. Now as we said last time, we didn't put 20 million weight oil, we put 2 million in there to make it lighter and more responsive. So that's all clean, fixed and ready to go in. We've got new bearings going into the transmission, and we've got the spur gear assembly and cush drive mechanism that we also serviced. Put new bearings on the lay shaft, and here we go. So now we can start getting it back together. So let's go ahead and start stacking it in. Okay, so start with the centermost piece here. Just here you go, make sure everything's going together. Now with the Traxxas quality and engineering, there should be no real need for hitting or striking anything. It should all sort of piece together really nicely, smooth and precise. So I'm just checking here, pushing the bearings in, making sure it's all turning over quite nicely. We can see the center diff there rotating. I've got the rear pinion drive unit. Now something you're going to see me use a lot of this in this transmission is copper grease, and this is an XTR product that I'm using, and I like to use that in applications where it is metal to metal. Put that up there, and again every step of the way just making sure that everything is in there as I go. Got that in there nicely. Now we can go ahead and put the rear diff in. It's still feeling very nice. And at this point now I suppose I can start adding some lubrication. I can get the main gear cover on, yep, like so, and I can start adding some lubrication. I'll actually take this out and get this one out of the way, and I'll get this rear cover on. I'll just use my trusty 9-steps screwdriver here to get me some grease out. You don't have to absolutely cake it in the grease, you know, all the excess stuff's going to flick off anyway. Just a nice film across all the mating surfaces, like so. Keep a rag nice and handy. Go ahead, slide the rear case on, and again, like I said, just turning it over every step of the way. Turn it over a few times. Go ahead, I'll take this back cover off. Make sure everything's got a really nice coating on it. Yeah, feels really nice. Sounds really nice. Really happy with that. And go ahead and put some securing screws in there. Now at this point, if it has been some time since you did rebuild it, you might want to check your instruction manual to see exactly which screw goes where. So you might see me swapping and changing screws over as I get the right size on this build. Again, I'm not using any power tools, just doing it all by hand. Most of the screws in this vehicle are all M4 4mm thread. They just vary in length a little bit. Beautiful. And I can get this. I think I have a short one in the back here. And if you do have, I've just got a perfect example here of a bit of dirt in the screw head. I've got a simple little cleaning aid here, commonly referred to as blue tack, and we can usually bang it out on a hard surface, pushing the head of the screw into the blue tack, and we'll get all the dirt and gunk out, making sure we've got a really nice purchase with our Allen key, like so. Because if you have dirt and grit in your screw heads, you'll find that you'll wear not only the screw but your tools as well. Okay, sounding really nice so far. I think at this point what I will do is I'll actually marry the transmission unit to the truck itself, and then I will set about putting in the motor and the spur and pinion, just holding it all together while I maneuver it around, because obviously it's quite a big thing, this X-Maxx. So I just give myself plenty of working space. Grab the truck chassis over here and get to work on, like I said, marrying the two major components up, being the rear gearbox and the truck itself. And again, it should all piece together very easily. Just get the holes lined up like so. Again, and it just sort of melts together. It is that good. And then we can go ahead, pull my motor out to the side here. I'm actually going to use one of my wheels as a vehicle stand, that's it, and that'll hold it all together. So you can little simple tools like that. Okay, so now I will go ahead and get some of the screws in to hold the chassis together. Like so. Try and do this on the overhead. Now I'm not doing everything up tight straight off the bat. I'm actually just sort of putting it in there, getting it started, just until the surface of the screw comes into contact with what I'm screwing into. Just to make sure everything's screwing in nice and straight and true, because you run the risk of actually buckling plastics if it is misaligned or not straight. So just do it up gently, check it over every step as you go. And you can use, a lot of people do use electric screwdrivers and power tools for this, but as I've explained before, I enjoy actually doing it by hand, getting a good feel for it. And using these quality tools like these 9 steps hex wrenches make life really easy, and you can take great pride in your work. Okay, it's coming up. And because of plastic threads, there's no need for thread lock. The truck will not rattle itself loose, and you just need to do it up by hand till it just pinches up. You can see I'm not really exerting a lot of force. Everything's going together really nicely, which is really typical of Traxxas engineering. Okay, so the next step I'm going to take is these little dowels. Now we had these little dowels before, and I said I put these aside very early in the piece because they can fall out of the transmission case. So what these are going to do is locate inside the top here, and these are going to help me get the correct gear mesh. Just being very careful not to lose it. Get it located in and pushing it down very gently. Now you can see it's not the tightest fit, and that's why I took them out and put them to the side, because I was quite concerned that I might lose them during the build, and that would cause the motor to definitely not get the correct mesh, causing pinion straight away to the pinion and spur gear. Okay, so that is in. I've got this little drive shaft here that can go in after the pinion. I'm going to go ahead and put it in now though. Again, a little bit of the copper grease on there. Anything that's metal to metal, it's definitely a good little bit of insurance. Help it run nice and run for many more years. I can go ahead and locate the motor onto its dowels, and again it should sort of pretty much just slip into place just like that. At this point I will dummy up the spur gear and lay shaft just to ensure that everything is sitting right and nice. Might need a little bit of a wiggle like so. Make sure your bearings on the shaft is located properly. Goes into the gearbox case like so. And now we have our gear mesh. And I'm just going to turn that over by hand. And everything is nice and smooth. We should have a little bit of backlash on the pinion. Okay, so I'm pretty confident that that is right. So I can go ahead now and put my lay shaft cover on, not before applying a little bit more grease to the idler gear. I'm just going to turn that over. Again, it doesn't need to be coated in the grease, just a nice little film. And this will ensure that the gears last as long as possible. Got a nice film on that idler gear. I'm going to go ahead now and secure in the mount. I'll take these screws out, actually they're so long. Put these ones in here. And an important tip if something is getting tight before it's pulled down, the chances are that you've put the wrong screw into the wrong hole. So being the same thread, you won't cause any damage. But another reason why I like to use hand tools, because you can feel with your fingers the correct torque that you're applying. This truck is going to be like new after this. It won't know itself. And again, there was nothing faulty within the truck. You know, a testament to Traxxas's build quality and the construction of this vehicle and the engineering behind it, because it has seen quite a lot of use over the past couple of years, and it's the first time that it's been actually serviced in this area. Again, just going around. It's a very critical component, that one. Just making sure that the gear, there we go. That's what I was listening for. We've got that little bit of backlash in the gear. Now it's going to be really hard to pick up on camera because it's only, you're sort of talking tenths of a millimeter. But once you get accustomed to hearing it, it's very normal. So you don't want a tight gear mesh, but I'm really confident that the motor is sitting 100% right. So I'm going to go ahead from underneath and put in some motor screws to make sure that it can't move. This might be a little bit tricky to catch on camera, having to stand the truck up at an awkward angle, but let's see how we go. Again, just getting one of these screws in. In the case where you do put the drive shaft in wrong, we can just go back a couple of steps. I just need to remove these 4 screws and separate the drivetrain, the rear drivetrain off about 15 millimeters to put the center drive shaft in. Don't go quiet. Okay, getting these 4 screws off. That should be all that's holding it. So excuse me while I just pop this one off the bottom. I can get my drive shaft, which is just here. Nice big meaty drive shaft the X-Maxx has got. making sure that it's located. Just going to apply a small amount of grease in this spline here, which is going to definitely take a pounding. Like so. Put some in the rear of it while I'm here. Put my grease to the side. Okay, let's see what we can do. I'm really comfortable that that's located right. We can see here that it's got witness marks and wear marks from the guides on the chassis, the braces. So I'm more than happy that that is in fact in the right spot. I can go ahead here, get my transmission assembly and marry it up. Again, I'm just going to be rotating it a little bit and looking at it from the overhead. Getting it married up. Just rotating it slightly. Okay, we do now officially have four-wheel drive again. So, a simple little error. And we'll repeat that process again by getting the screws in. Like so. Again, doing them up nice and evenly, applying the correct here we go. Do these up in a diagonal pattern, ensure that it's torquing up in a nice correct way, keeping everything nice and level. Not swinging off the wrenches or using any tools to aid tightening. With a couple of fingers. Okay. Now at this point I can, by spinning the front wheels or by getting the wheels off the ground, if I can do that, we can see how smooth and how free the drivetrain is. If I can get it up on camera, proving to be quite difficult. Like so, I can see that the rear outdrives are spinning. Not with that camera in the way, we can't. Alright. Again, going back, making sure my dowels are located. Now it does have an 1854 spur gear pinion gear ratio. So I simply put that, that's telling me the dowel needs to go in the I position, which it is. And I'll go ahead and get this motor located. Again, it should just sort of fall into place. Again, I've got that sound, what we refer to as backlash, in there, which is exactly what I want to hear. Making sure that the motor's sitting nice and flat. I'm really happy with that. Can turn the front wheels over, and that is spinning everything over. Now don't be alarmed by that sound. That is a metal on metal mesh. and they are quite big module 1 gears, so there's quite a big drivetrain noise coming from this vehicle, but it's all nice and smooth. Go ahead here, secure the motor again, get my screw in from underneath, and we can work towards getting the motor done up. Like so. Now luckily everything is pretty much a 2.5mm headed bolt, which gives a nice purchase with the tool. Another one in here, like so. You can see the threads aren't particularly tight or nasty, but still tight enough nonetheless to avoid them rattling themselves out. I can see by the marks on the chassis that it's actually had a few pinions and gear changes. This one, a few different ratios have been used by the different marks left for meshing. Okay, just go around these in a nice sequence fashion, torquing the motor down nice and square on the dowels. Just moving around the bolts. Like I said, I didn't do one up, I let them all pull down nice and even. Just work my way around, because this is an area of the truck that's going to take a lot of torque and punishment. More than happy with that. Give that a final check over and a spin to make sure everything's sounding nice. And I think you'll agree that for such a big truck, that is really nice. Everything's located nice. Yeah, we've got a bit of drive shaft float there, which is good. That means that the center drive shaft has got float in the chassis to put up with flex of the chassis and everything. We can go ahead and get to putting more plastic covers and more reassembly in. And I will put a small amount of lubrication onto the pinion and spur. Again, just helping me, bit of insurance. Now that it's all hooked up, the only way to spin it over is by moving the whole truck. Coming to the end of my grease pot. Use it on just about everything. There we go. Really happy with that. You can see how that grease has really quietened down the whole transmission unit. Just putting it on that last little bit. Perfect, that's exactly what we want. Okay, got our gear cover on there. Go ahead and put our motor cover on. And it's really important to put this one on because it will stop any dirt and crud getting in there while we complete the rest of the assembly. And now it's just a matter of building the rest of the truck around the components that we've got here in front of us. Utilizing a spare wheel that we've got, at this stage is a little precarious. in that it all sort of holds itself together until I can get these hinge pins in situation. Here we go. Like so. Big beefy hinge pins on these X-Maxx. It needs to be. Okay, I've got our cover here. We've got our cover this one can go on last, I think. We'll have a cover on the back here like so. Okay, I need to put that screw in there. Beautiful. Can put this one on after. Let's get the top A-arms and hinge pins into position. Okay. Now these are such a big rig, you do need to give yourself a lot of room to manipulate and move this car around. Okay, just putting top A-arms in, making sure we in fact use the right hinge pins. Now there's 2 roll center adjustments on this truck that we can use. We'll put it back to the factory settings how it was. I might do another track session with it and show you the differences of changing roll center. Meanwhile, while I was talking, I went ahead and put the wrong hinge pin in. Or did I? Seems I did not. I just didn't have it located properly. Okay, let's get the rear shock tower on. And I'm glad I made that move because the hinge pin sits on this side of it. Absolutely stunning design here by Traxxas. Everything piecing together exactly as it should, when I have in fact got the right hinge pins in the right place. Okay, we'll put our hinge pin retainers in. Put our caps in. Like so. And these caps here are such a brilliant engineering piece. Not only do they keep the dirt and everything else, but they also make it stronger and secure, with the pin coming all the way through the top A-arm. Getting this done here. Like so. Can put the top shock mount in. Okay, let's see what we're working with here. It's definitely the right. Something's not lined up. Sometimes it's a bit of a juggling act. Give it a few gentle taps. Now that the shock's in, it should help it hold together much nicer. Like so. We'll put our cap on there. There we go, and that will keep that hinge pin retained. Okay, we are looking really good and super excited to get this X-Maxx back out, blasting around. Put some more screws in. Now, like I said, if you don't remember where your screws go at this point, it's very wise to consult your instructions. Well, I used the wrong tool. But so far everything is going together super smooth. We'll get this one in, and then we can in fact flip it upside down again and get the rear cover plates on. Like so, starting to look a lot more like a truck. I can zoom out now on the overhead camera. We can get more of the truck in there. Okay, can tip it upside down again. Now that it's together, we can get this wheel out of the way. The shock towers actually make really, really good buggy stand. Like so. Okay. We can go ahead now and put our cover on. Our wheelie bar unit. Like so. Making sure everything's locating. Everything going together so nice and very neat. It's a matter of getting some screws in. And it's screws like this that you can see why people get frustrated or impatient and get out the cordless drill. But like I said, there's no harm in taking another 5 minutes to do it by hand. Bit of dirt in this one. Just knocking it out a bit. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and tighten these up. Just like so, working my way down nice, even, making sure everything's nice and straight. Okay, I've got 4 big ones to go in the bottom here. Last countersunk screw in my tray, which is lucky. Again, just doing them up nice and evenly, working my way around. Beautiful. Looking really good. Oh, wheelie bar's not attached yet. Can go ahead and attach that one right now. Like so. That will offer us the strength. And the wheelie bar and bumper bar on this truck does definitely get a big workout. Put this one in here. Make sure this shock pin doesn't fall out. Okay, we are looking good. Got a couple more to go in the top there. Oops, too short a screw on that one. If I can just get that out there without picking the whole truck up. Nope. My trusty 9 steps pliers. Get this one out of situ. Like so. Next one up longer. I think that'll be the one. And sometimes it can just take a few like that. So no panic. Same size on the other side. Okay, I think we can get the wheels on this bad boy and make it look more like a truck. Yeah, the wheel. Being a little bit careful because these tyres are directional. Well, make all that noise. Get these wheel nuts on and in position. They've got a nice locking thread on these wheel nuts, and for such a big car, it's actually one thing that doesn't come loose very often is the wheel nuts. And for that, again, you don't really need a huge tool or a big socket set to do it. It is a 17mm nut, but the simple little T-handle that I've got here is more than enough torque to keep the wheels done up and tight. Fantastic. And we should have four-wheel drive again. We certainly do. Nice and quiet. We should have a center diff action there. You can hear the center diff working. That's the gear mesh, but as I hold the back wheels, the front is spinning nice and smooth, being nice and full with 2 million fluid oil. Can go ahead now, put the body shell on. Beautiful. Now, apart from putting a few more bits and pieces, a bit more screws in it, there's a couple in the chassis there left to do. Charging up the batteries and getting it for the run, this is done. So that's been a fantastic little project. A lot of people get really intimidated by working on their cars. And again, it does take practice, but with a bit of patience and some few simple tools, I mean, you can do it yourself. So it's a really good idea to stay on top of the maintenance, and the truck will keep performing and last a really long time. Fantastic. So I'm Brett from Hearns Hobbies, and thanks for watching me repair the X-Maxx.